they are worthy of love. We are worthy of everything, every good thing that is out there, that is available. You are worthy to experience it, all the joy in life, and not just happiness, right? Like we're actually having had a sermon series, and where joy and happiness came up in the sermon series at church. And there's a difference between joy and happiness, right? You're not going to be happy, quote unquote, all the time, but the joy that you have is something that is like, it's almost intangible in a sense. Like it's deeper, it's richer. We deserve that. We need that in our life. That is what I want. And I believe it's a part of development too. Like if you go through your life never experiencing joy, it's a missed opportunity. I'm Kim.
And I'm Camille. And this is Enneagram for the Culture, where two dope Black therapists discuss how therapy, Blackness, and the Enneagram come together.
Mm-hmm. How we doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited for our guest today.
Me too. So before we get into our episode, we just wanted to give you a little context as far as our type 1s.
Yeah, so on today's episode, we talk with Montina, who identifies as a type 1. And just to refresh your memory, you can learn more about type 1s on seasons 1 and 2 of the podcast, episode 5. And a little refresher is that type 1s are titled or sometimes called the reformer. And they are kind of described as very rational and principled, purposeful. They're very self-controlled, and they sometimes can be perfectionistic. Their core basic fear is of being bad or defective or evil or corrupt. And their basic desire on the flip side is to be good, in balance, to have integrity. Integrity is really important for ones. And their message that they sort of live with is you are good or okay if you do what is right. So that's a little bit about our type 1s.
And so you are going to hear Montina talk about her relationship with anger. And we thought it was a good opportunity for us to, zoom out a little bit and just touch on triads and their relationship with emotions. So you may or may not know that the Enneagram can be broken down into multiple sets of 3s, right? One of those triads is the instinctual triads. And essentially with each of those triads, the gut triad, the heart triad, and the head triad, they all also share a relationship with one particular emotion. And so for the gut triad, that is anger. For the heart triad, that is shame or sadness. And for the head triad, that's anxiety or fear. And so, we just wanted to give you some context, touch on how those types in those triads relate to those emotions in really interesting ways.
Yes. And that doesn't mean that all the numbers don't experience those emotions. It just means that those triads have a particularly interesting relationship with those emotions. And so when we start with the gut triad or the triad that has a relationship with anger, we're going to be looking at 8s, 9s, and 1s. And for 8s, they externally express their anger. They turn that anger outward, and they don't have an issue with their anger being expressed. 9s are going to suppress that anger internally and sometimes may be unaware of their anger, and then that can build to an external showing of their anger in a passive-aggressive way. And then 1s repress their anger, turning it inward, and internally being frustrated, or what we hear a lot of times with 1s is having that inner critic, which critiques themselves or others internally.
And so you'll notice the pattern within the triad, each type, there's kind of this external relationship, a both or suppression, and then an internal or repressed relationship. And so with the heart triad, those are types 2, 3, and 4. For 2s, because their attentiveness is just so extreme and kind of intense in terms of like external relationships, we can see that that's how their shame can show up more externally. For 3s, the relationship with shame, it's more suppressed in that threes can tend to be pretty out of touch with their emotions, even though they sit right in the center of the heart triad. And so there's that, like we said, kind of suppression that's happening for threes and shame versus fours. The shame is very much internalized, going back to that core fear that fours struggle with, that I'm inadequate or that there's something wrong with me, tended to kind of filter everything through that message. And so then the shame becomes really, really intense internally.
Yes. And then for our head triads, so those are going to be 5, 6, and 7. Those 3 numbers have a relationship with anxiety. And so for 5s, they turn inward to deal with their anxiety, living in their heads and kind of trying to figure things out internally to be as prepared as possible to manage their anxiety and their fears. 6s, again, in the middle, have an internal and external relationship with anxiety. So they are going to display their anxiety internally with their thoughts, and sometimes even not trusting themselves or trusting their own thoughts. And then externally, not trusting others and checking in with others to find what's happening, to get some peace and some security. And then for 7s, they're going to turn externally to deal with their anxiety. So creating solutions and distractions to avoid their anxiety within. So again, you see that internal, that both, and then that external happening in the head triad.
So let's listen in. I'm gonna introduce her, right?
Yeah.
Oh. So today we have Montina Myers-Galloway. She is a licensed clinical mental health counselor, a speaker, a workshop facilitator, and a consultant for women who have carried the weight of parentification throughout their lives. Her notable TEDx talk, Why Black Women Should Stop Being Responsible, has challenged the silence around parentification and mental health within the community, opening up essential conversations. She has been featured on Fox 46 Charlotte, appeared on various podcasts, and partnered with organizations to provide attendees with relatable yet transformative experiences. As the owner of Myers-Galloway Counseling, she specializes in educating and empowering women to take charge of their mental health and well-being. Welcome, Montina.
Hello. Hey.
We're so glad to have you.
I'm so glad to be here. I love you both.
Oh, Kim, you forgot.
I didn't forget. I was just trying to just make it about her. It was very hard for me to not say, this is also my best friend.
I know that was hard for her not to say.
So hard. It was multiple places I was like, am I bestie? Am I bestie? Am I bestie? But I didn't, because I'm professional like that.
And then I'm like, wait a minute, you forgot her most important title for this situation.
Yes, this is my bestie. And yes, we love you too. I love you too.
Yes. Yes. So I feel like you've been somebody that we've wanted on the podcast for a bit. Like, your name has been somebody that, like, let's ask Montina. And so we're so excited for season 4 that we're here together to do this.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to hear why. I didn't know.
Because you're Kim's best friend.
Yeah. And because I don't want to talk too much, but I mean, a part of your origin story, like, you kind of fit into me really, like, taking this tool and running with it, because when I first learned about it, I shared it with the people who were closest in my life, and you were like, oh my gosh, this is cool. This is my type. And so, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then the amazing work that you do is so important. And so being able to just like shed light on it and showcase it.
Mm-hmm. And I always feel like there's such an affinity for, I have people in my life, we call them my best friend's best friend. And there's, so I'm like, oh, Montina is my best friend's best friend. Like, Kim's my friend and that's her best friend. So, like, we're all good. Like, so I'm in the background here rooting for you whenever Kim tells me all the cool things that you're doing and the workshops and the speaking events, that I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. So of course we wanted to have you on.
Mm-hmm. And y'all's chemistry is on point on this podcast. I've been telling Kim that ever since you all started and ever since I've been listening. So
Thank you.
Best friend. Like, I don't know how that would work, but yes. Thank you.
Earlier, there's an episode where I think Margaret talks about my friend's therapist. And so like how like by proxy, like, my friend's therapist said.
Right. Absolutely.
So there's all these degrees of separation.
Yeah. That you can still learn from and glean something from.
That's right. That's right.
Black women, gotta love us.
Yes, the community. Well, we can jump in. And so, you know, we always start off with how the Enneagram has shown up for you recently or what you've noticed. And so do you want to start or do you want me to start about how the Enneagram has shown up for you recently?
I want y'all to start.
Okay. She was ready for that.
Yeah, I want y'all to start. Thank you.
It's my day today to share. So the thing that I thought about sharing was, so my summer has been pretty hard. It's been pretty sad. Everybody's fine. There's not anything huge that like happened, but it was just a lot of hits. And it carried a lot of sadness. And with my work as an Enneagram 7, I've gotten a lot better at sadness. I allow the sadness. I sit with the sadness. I don't judge the sadness. I cry. I tell people, it's kind of like people be like, how are you? I'm like, I'm sad. Like I'm very like open and authentic about my sadness. Cry in public. I don't know. There's no like hiding of it. But there was lots of ways that my 7ness showed up in that because at the end of the day, I do not like it. I will do it and I will honor it and I will hold it, but I do not enjoy it. And my 7ness that I noticed, one of the ways it showed up was about like the beginning of August, I started to turn my brain to like, how am I going to celebrate summer being over? And so how am I going to celebrate this? So I, in my 7ness, planned a goodbye, I survived summer celebration dinner at one of my favorite restaurants. It's coming up this weekend. I'm so excited. I'm wearing I already have my dress picked out that like I wanted to wear for another occasion that I couldn't because I was too sad, but now I'm going to wear my special dress. I have my people with me. We're going to a restaurant that like I like love and wanted to go to all summer. And I was texting one of my friends. I was like, 7's go 7, right? Like it's August 1st. And I'm like, September 29th, we are going to dinner to celebrate the end of summer. So that is how my 7ness showed up, is celebrating the end. And thankfully, when I was planning it, I was like, what if I'm still not ready to go to dinner? But then I was like, but thankfully it has worked out. It has worked out that like we are ready to go. Dress will be worn, shoes picked out. We're good. We're ready.
That's awesome.
I want to know what you're going to have though, because I would have been looking at the menu.
Oh, I've been looking at the menu like weekly. Because they change it pretty frequently and
okay, it's a seasonal. Okay.
And I kind of want them to switch it over. There's like a dish that they had last year that I really liked. It's not on there, so I'm hoping it comes back. So that's going to be my hope and prayer for the dinner, is that the Brussels sprouts are back.
They got bacon on them?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. But they were it's okay because I'm not a huge Brussels sprouts person, unless they're dressed up. And these were very dressed up, and it wasn't bacon, but it was other stuff that I was down for. So yeah.
Designate a time period for that.
Yes.
There's the season.
Season.
I feel like you're going to be so much like have such an appreciation for the celebration and the joy of it because you have let yourself like lean into the depths.
I'm like thinking about writing thank you cards to people that come to the I'm ready to be like, yes, I'm gonna let myself lean in. I'm gonna be so excited. And like I said, I think on my to-do list this week is to write thank you cards to the people that walked through the sadness with me. And it's just a good restaurant, so I'm excited to get to go and for us to go. So it doesn't even have to be about me. It just that I get to be with people, and I think everybody's excited because it's a nice restaurant. So it'll be good.
Nice.
Yeah.
And 7 stuff for sure. Yeah. So we're not. We're trying something different this season where where only one of us is sharing. To give us
you're gonna spring that on me right now. Got it.
So
it's not the only guest so far this season who's like, wait a minute, Camille, what about you? Yeah, what about you? We're like, ugh. So y'all really been listening to all the seasons, huh?
That wasn't
Thank
in
you.
the email or the other episodes.
I thought it was a small detail. I did, that email's pretty detailed.
I did too.
But I mean, I didn't think that needed to be included in the details.
Our bad.
It's okay. It's okay. So I think that the Enneagram has showed up for me. So for everybody who's listening, I believe that my type is a 1. But the way that the Enneagram has shown up for me, maybe not this week, but just I'm in a season of transition. So my daughter is starting kindergarten. Well, has started kindergarten. So it's been, I guess, a month now. And when she first started, I was like, okay, am I going to have all these emotions? Am I going to be happy? Am I going to be sad? And at the time when we dropped her off, I didn't experience any emotions. At least I didn't show any. And I didn't know like what was going on. It was a very happy time. And so actually my moment did not come until about 3 weeks later where I was at back to school night. And so at back to school night, they bring all the parents in and they tell them like, okay, this is what we've been doing. This is what we're going to do. This is what school is like, yada, 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 all that stuff. And it was in the middle of her telling us about popcorn words, or i.e. sight words, essentially. I was like, oh my God, I want to cry. I want to cry. Like, this is just beautiful. This is amazing. I'm so proud of her. I'm so grateful of where she is. And I mean, she's 5. It's a great opportunity and like space for development, of course. But like she had already been in school for 3 weeks. And then when I got to the car, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get in the car. And she's in the back seat. And she's like, Mommy, what's wrong? What's going on? And I said, oh, nothing, baby. I'm just so happy. I'm so proud. And then so my husband calls us and she tells him, Mommy, Daddy, Mommy's pretending to cry. I was like, girl, no, I'm not pretending to cry. I am not pretending to cry. So that was a little moment where I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure I had these feelings before this happened or before that sort of random moment. And I realized times like that happened for me a lot where I could be fine 1 minute or just sort of do what I need to do to get through to the next task that I have to do or to work through a certain thing. But if I'm driving on the way to work and it just comes out, and it's like, I didn't know that was there. I didn't know that I needed to express that, but then I feel so much better afterwards. And so it's that way with positive emotions, quote unquote, but it's also that way with anger. Like there are some times where I realize, oh yeah, that really bothered me and I did not show it, or I'm trying to just focus on what needs to be done or what I feel needs to be done in order to not express it. Yeah. I won't fill up the whole podcast with the other examples, but
there was so much richness in that one, right? So much richness in what you shared of that, sometimes the delayed emotion, especially when it's, I have stuff to get done. Starting kindergarten is no small thing. There's a lot of moving parts here. And that, it's later that it's like, oh wait, this is actually really special and cool. And
this is huge. This is huge. Like she's growing so fast and it's also changing me at the same time. Like I had no idea how impacted I would be by the space that she's now in. And it makes me wonder, how will people respond to her? Like how will she be treated in environments when I'm not there? And it makes me grow harder in my faith. And it makes me want to impress upon her what I want her to know about who she is.
That's cool.
Yeah. Well, Montina's my best friend. Ava, her daughter, is my little best friend.
I think Ava's coming from my spot as best friend, if you really want to know the truth.
I didn't know that you were that.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
I didn't know that you was at it too. I know we was doing a good job kind of keeping you, keep you oblivious. No, she's not coming. She can't. But is hands down like one of my favorite people ever. And she is going to be just incredible. You know, she's already an incredible human, but she's going to continue to grow and make her mark on the world. And yeah, you know, like you're doing such a good job. And I know that like that's important to you, going back to but I do think I think that what you shared, like it's so many layers. Like I think that is a testament and experience that many ones do have, that like, you know, I know and that I've talked to, but I also think that it is the experience of so many like Black women, you know, to learn how to compartmentalize or to a degree kind of shut off parts of us that can feel soft and vulnerable. And because we're all so focused on the stuff that has to get done. And so I think that that's a really like valid experience, and I'm glad that you let yourself. I think that's the other thing, is we like experience the emotion. We're like, oh gosh, that felt so good to like get out, and I love that for us. So I'm glad you got there.
Both of our shares are crying and letting our emotions out. So let's see where this conversation goes.
Yeah. The season's been coming for us in a different way.
So tell the people about your Enneagram origin story. How did you first learn about the Enneagram, Montina?
Yes. So I have you to thank for that. I was thinking as I was like preparing for this, I can't remember how it popped up. No, here's that degree of separation, because Camille told you about it. You told me about it. And then you was like, well, I don't know. I don't really like what I heard about my Enneagram type, and then I understood what you meant about that, because I read it. And I think at some point we were confused or thinking that I had identified with 6, but 1 is speaking to me hard.
You were confused.
I was confused.
I was like, yeah, but you were like, I don't know, maybe. I was like, okay, sure,
fine. But yes, so I heard about it through you. You heard about it from Camille, and I think once I like read it and sort of digested it, and I could think back to previous experiences and previous things that drove me, or things that made me very upset, or it also made me realize why I was stuck in certain areas in terms of resentment or being angry about something. And even though those things were valid, I was like, oh, that's probably true for me. Like I do, that does resonate with me. And I've been kind of using it as a point of reference ever since, to be honest with you. I've been reading scripture a little bit more. I've been looking at the Enneagram aspects a little bit more. And of course you take things, with a grain of salt and not live by them. But like, yeah, it's pretty accurate. It's pretty accurate.
I'm glad to be a part of your origin story.
When you said that you use it as a point of reference, like, does that mean for yourself, for others? How does that, the point of reference kind of work for you?
So 2 ways, definitely for myself, but also in relationship with others. So trying not to type people per se, but I think when I had my best assumptions about, especially, for example, like I'll use my husband as an example. I think he's an 8. That helps me understand a little bit more about how he operates. But also as a leader. So I'm growing a small group practice and I'm managing a team, and I've had them take the Enneagram quiz and see where they fall. And that's helping me to understand how to lead them. So there's not going to be anything perfect, but I really want to understand how to like collaborate with others, how to be in relationship with them in the best way possible, so that it can be fruitful. Like there's no point, in my perspective, there's no point in being in a relationship of any kind if it's not going to be fruitful. Mm-hmm.
I was laughing because I was like, oh, here comes a one again. I was like, I know where this is going. Like, what's the point if it's not?
I don't understand what we're doing if we are not going to understand how to make this the best experience possible to get the most out of it. Yeah, because that's what we're here to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool. I love how you've used it like with business and with leadership and with staff and people that you've like are co-laboring with. Like that's a really great that's a great way. Yeah. Just to, how do I communicate best with this person? How do I understand how they work and how they function and what their motivators are to showing up and doing work. And I think that's really cool that you shared that. Definitely makes sense. Cause yeah, you want it to be effective and you want this to be done well.
Mm-hmm. And more, especially as it relates to work, like I want it to be a safe environment, safe enough for people to show up as themselves, practice effectively, just do the best that they can. And I want to be a part of it. I don't want to be a hindrance to them doing the best that they can.
I think you and I think like one of the first trainings I went to, I drug you with me.
I wouldn't say drug.
I mean, yeah. So it was really early. Like we just learned about it. And this lady popped up in my inbox. Somehow I stumbled on her and she was like the Enneagram guru in Charlotte. And I was like, Montina, come with me. And you did. And
yeah.
We were the only Black people there, I think.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There might have been a brown person.
Right. But we were.
And that was the where I ended up doing a panel. But like I said, this is the beginning of my Enneagram journey. I didn't know what a panel was. I didn't know that it meant I was going to be sitting up in front of all of these white people. Telling them like my whole backstory. I sat back down beside you and you looked at me and you were like, I didn't know. I didn't know that you had that experience in high school with that team. Like it was very deep, vulnerable stuff.
Yeah. 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 And you want to talk about repressed emotions. Like I think at the time, that was when there was the confusion about the 6 or the 1 or whatever. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I had no idea how uncomfortable I felt until afterwards, or I couldn't express it because the whole circle thing, like it really made me feel uncomfortable and
one that,
lasered in on. It was one of the activities that we did. I don't even remember what it was about, but it was very uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very, very vulnerable and uncomfortable. We'd be doing stuff like that together. It's like, why do we do that to ourselves? I know we want to grow, but
that's why, because we were trying to grow.
Oh my gosh. I love when you're like talking. She was up there talking. Being vulnerable.
What? And it was like out of nowhere.
I didn't know. When I walked in, there weren't very many. I don't think there were any other 3s that were there. And so she was like, hey, do you want to be on a panel? And I was like, okay. I had no idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's about growth. Being fruitful. We try to be fruitful.
I know. I wasn't ready to embrace it at the time.
Yeah,
I wasn't ready to embrace it.
That was a lot.
And to be fair, that was a really long time ago. That was definitely pre-pandemic. So so like what, 2018, 2019, that's 5 years ago at this point.
Was that pre-baby?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. So we've all grown. You guys have grown.
Wow.
And so I think the vulnerability piece, that sounds like it was a lot. And being in a space where it was a majority, overwhelming majority white people. And so, yeah, actually, this kind of dovetails into our next question, Montina, is that how do you notice your Enneagram, your oneness? How do you notice it intersecting with your Blackness? Yeah.
You know, the challenge for me is balancing doing enough, not necessarily being enough anymore, because I've grown to know that more, but doing enough to get to a better place as a Black person, as, you know, someone who is of the minority, like just doing enough and feeling like it will be enough. Because I think working hard is not something that I have to try to do. I have to try to do the opposite. And so just trying to balance that part with where I'm trying to go and what my dreams and aspirations are can be a challenge. And trying to be a good steward over the things that I have as a Black person, because we don't realize that there's even privileges within that. And managing my anger as it is relating to the things that happen in the world, the things that I have no control over, is very, very challenging. I had an experience at my daughter's school where one of the parents said something that was clearly a microaggression. And in that moment, I had to practice self-control because my daughter was right there. My husband was right there. Other parents were right there. And so the challenge with that is I know there are going to be more things like that will happen in the future. Yeah. There will be that, because that's the world that we live in. And I think, again, like I said earlier, I didn't realize how much this space that my daughter is in would also impact and bring things up in me. I didn't realize how uncomfortable I felt in a room being the minority. And so, but again, you don't have control over that. It's a larger systemic issue. So yeah, that's something that I have to grapple with more often than not, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Who was the microaggression?
I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to know, because I'm going to be driving down to Charlotte.
You might be.
But Kim's already there. She's like, let me know so I can know.
Well,
you might be. I might be. You might be calling you for some backup.
Y'all can decide if you want to cut it out of the podcast, but I'll let you know what happened. So we were like at a parent event before the game, and we were all sitting around eating. You know, everybody's kind of feeling each other out, and we were someone was introducing themselves to us, and they want to know who are the children who are your kids that played on the team, basically. But one of the white women said, "Oh, well, who do you belong to?"
Who was she talking to?
She was talking to me.
Oh.
And again, her intention, I guess, could have been, okay, which kids are yours who play on the team?
Right.
But it came out as
somebody's property.
You belong to. I was like, who? So when we walked away, I said to my husband what I would have said to her. But it's just such a shame that, again, I know that there are going to be more things that happen like that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
God.
Real. Your face.
I just feel like, obviously racism is racism, but sometimes racism is just dumb. Like, it's just like, what kind of a question is that? Like, I'm sitting here, I'm clear, like, I don't get it. I don't even know where that question's even, like, structurally, that question doesn't make sense. That's why it's like, oh, racism. Like, because it's like, what context do we ask that question ever? So anyway, that's just infuriating.
Yeah. What context do we ask that question ever? Mm-hmm. So even if I was a child, oh, where are your parents? Would have been the question. Yeah. So don't be surprised if I like send y'all a message next week and then I'm like, man, that really pissed me off. And then maybe I'll cry or whatever, and then it'll be over. But
again, like that's such a, use the word shame. I think it is shameful that is such a, not that particular microaggression per se, but the experience as a Black woman to have something happen and you know something has happened, but it's like you can't know to the degree that what's happening has just happened or is happening oftentimes because you need to make it through the situation.
Yes.
Like from a safety standpoint, from a modeling standpoint, from a profession, like so many different points. You got to just make it through. And so to have that experience where it's kind of, again, like a probably a dissociation to a degree, like we literally have to like shut down parts of yourself to get through it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then that's the annoying thing. That's not the right word. There's a bigger word for it, but that's the annoying thing of microaggressions, because it also then takes away your voice, like what Kim's saying, parts of you have to shut down, but then also like, what's the worth of me talking to this person about this? Like there's no
right.
The end game of me talking is very low. Like the percentage of like there's not much I'm going to get from correcting this woman in this moment, because it's just so much like, and so then you even more, it's like, gosh, and I can maybe, I'm going to guess here, you tell me if this is correct, like as a one who wants to correct, who wants to make things right, who wants to say like, that's not the way that you should talk to people or say those language, to have to be like, and there's no point, like you just talked about, like, what's the point? There's no point in me saying this in this situation to correct or to elicit change, because it's not going to get me very far. And the toll it's going to take on me is going to be greater than the percentage of change that's going to happen in this situation, because it's very easy for that woman to be like, oh, I just meant blah, 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 or I didn't blah, 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 or whatever. And then it's like, well, then that's definitely, my voice is definitely not going to be heard. So I have to be quiet here.
Yeah. And I mean, and on top of that, like I have 2 children at the school. So I don't want to do anything or say anything, or the things I really want to do or say, in an environment that is intended for them to be safe and grow and flourish and do all the things.
That control part, I think, so that's another like element I hear that I feel like is very much a theme for sure for ones, for sure for types in the gut triad, but also for like that intersection, being a Black woman. Like you said, there's so much in the world that is happening that is not right, that is not just, that impacts us, that impacts our children, that impacts our community.
Yeah.
And you have to learn. I think our hope is that we realize we get to learn how to not get stuck there, and being so focused on all of the things that we can't control, and having it have us like stressed and anxious and angry. To learn that we can honor like that it makes us feel those ways, but also learn how to like focus on what we can control. It's hard, and it's a lot, and it's like, again, a lot of like, if you're not a Black person, if you're not a Black woman, you might not like have to to a degree, the privilege of not even knowing that on a daily basis, like so much of that
not even
calculation is
considering it. Yeah. Yeah. And I think one of the challenges for, at least for me personally, as it relates to the inner critic, is having that inner critic, but also, or one of the challenges that makes it hard to be a one is having the inner critic and having that overshadow all the good parts about being a one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, not that any type is better than the other, but essentially, you know, my intention and my motivation and my heart is to do good, be good, and all that. But the inner critic overshadows all of that. And so in situations like this that happen, sometimes I'm like, I should have said that. I should have said that. So it can, I tell my clients, it's like mental gymnastics, right?
Yeah.
Like it's really, really challenging.
Yeah. Yeah. You've named like the inner critic, and then you've also named the relationship with anger, like how and you've kind of said it like I feel angry. Like there's a lot of times that I feel angry, and we know anger is such a complex emotion for Black women, but it is one of our main emotions, right? Like it's okay to be angry. We need to be angry. Like it's okay, right? Normalizing that. So as someone that you're saying that I do get angry, like how have you learned to honor, express, move through your anger? And especially with the relationship of the inner critic, that's what's always interesting about the one, is that there's this inner critic that's like, don't do that. That's wrong. So how have you tried to embrace, express, you know, let your anger be there at times? How do you do that safely?
Well, I've gone to a smash room. I've done that. We had on safety equipment. No, I have had to sort of force myself to slow down with certain things. And also like consider the whole picture, right? So I think one of the biggest learning opportunities that I have had is when I had a very serious medical condition, 2021. And I think it was through that I realized that I had such a hard time receiving grace and receiving, I guess it showed up as like feeling uncomfortable when people were doing things for me. But at the core of it, it was really having such a difficult time just being, I don't want to say flawed, but like just being all of who I am with the idiosyncrasies and just sort of, I guess the word I'm looking for is vulnerable, right? Like, because when you're in that space, you just realize what's really important, what the perspective should be. So I guess the answer to your question is sometimes that happens by force for me, but sometimes I have to just allow myself to slow down and experience it and have those emotions and express those emotions.
That's beautiful.
I'm a journaler too. I do that.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I loved that answer. I just had like goosebumps thinking about, like what you said, just I'm slowing down to let myself have that emotion. Even in the story of the woman that asked that question, like you said, like I expressed my anger to my husband later. Like, you know, you still had that emotion like release versus just pushing through and not letting yourself have the emotion.
What can you tell us about a hope you have for Black people around growth work? And that can be work that they're doing in any capacity, using a tool like the Enneagram, therapy, counseling, and whatever. But what's a hope that you have both for Black people on an individual level and also as a collective?
And this is actually the question that I was looking forward to the most, because what I would like Black people to know, my hope for Black people, is that they are worthy of love. We are worthy of everything, every good thing that is out there, that is available. You are worthy to experience it. All the joy in life, and not just happiness, right? Like we're actually having had a sermon series, and where joy and happiness came up in the sermon series at church. And there's a difference between joy and happiness, right? You're not going to be happy, quote unquote, all the time, but the joy that you have is something that is like, it's almost intangible in a sense. Like it's deeper, it's richer. Like we deserve that. We need that in our life. That is what I want. And I believe it's a part of development too. Like if you go through your life never experiencing joy, it's a missed opportunity.
That question. And I love your answer. Camille, I know you love her answer. Like, you know, having the appreciation for joy that you do, like as a human, but also the way your type structure influences that. And I think all of us in the line of work that we do, you know, being Black women, and we're all, you know, we're all informed, you know, we see and we know that at times there's very much, it can feel like there's an agenda to like not have people, Black people, like people who actually like threatened by seeing Black people just joyous.
Right.
And so I love that we have spaces like this and are determined to create spaces that feel safe for us as Black women and as Black people, to be reminded that that's something that we very much deserve, are entitled to, even, you know, when the world can make it feel like we aren't.
Yeah.
That. So our next question, you are a therapist, so this will be a fun answer, and just sharing, like, what's your relationship been with therapy for you, and however you want to answer that.
Yes. So I started therapy prior to going to grad school. I had gone through a very sucky relationship, very sucky breakup. And then on top of that, I was at a job that I did not like. I knew 3 months after working there that I did not like, so I liked the job. So it was a very, very challenging time period. So of course there's the required, highly suggested requirement to go to therapy prior to, you know, you becoming a therapist and all that. But I started therapy right before grad school and have been in some form of therapy ever since. I actually had the same therapist majority, 90% of my therapeutic journey, on and off, and, you know, throughout different periods of my life. But then I found a different therapist who does EMDR. And so I had an opportunity to do that at some point. I just believe you should have it always in your back pocket. Like there is something that you're going to go through at every stage of your life. And you need a space to process that. You need a space to reflect. And I'm always going to be an advocate for that. You know, it's not the end all be all, but I am always going to be an advocate for therapy.
How is it for you showing up as a client, as a therapist, showing up as a client, as a one? Like, how does that work for you?
As a therapist / client, it is relieving. You know, again, that's the spot where I can slow down and I can look back and I could process. It is relieving because when I'm a therapist in session with clients, like you know, when I'm good, I'm good. You know, when I'm focused, like we gonna work in this session. As a one, you should probably ask my therapist how it is for her to work with a one. But I think it's, you know, as a one, I end up noticing the standards that I hold myself to as a one in therapy. And I start to realize, like, girl, chill out. Like, it's okay. Like, that is probably the best description that I can give of being a one in session, is like, I realize, like, yeah, give yourself a break.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah. Thank him.
I do. Yes. I just did, and I do, and I will.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I think if at any point I was stuck between types, it was 3 and 1, and one continue to, like, there's just so much that I feel like I get, and as a 3, like, even, you know, when you were sharing about emotions and it being a bit of a delayed fuse sometimes, how, you know, it could be. For me, I mean, I've had situations where it's like, you know, months later, I'm like, oh.
Listen, Kim, when you said that, I just thought about something. So early on in my relationship with my husband, we were like, I don't know if we were married at the time, but it was one random morning and I started like crying. I was like, oh my God, I blamed my mother for and it was like random. Girl, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, I get that. But that part being hard, the expectations and being the pressure.
Yeah.
And I have, for me, I think I've had mixed feelings when somebody reflects that back to me, like, you can ease up on yourself. Sometimes I'm like relieved, and then other times I'm like hard on myself for being so hard on myself. Like something else that I'm still, you know, not doing a good job at, but definitely I'm glad that you leaned into a space like therapy so much for yourself. And you brought up a good point as far as, like, ideally being clinicians, having, you know, had the experience of being clients also. I didn't before I started being a therapist. It wasn't until, like, after I've been practicing for a while, and then I went and was like, I'm just so much better as a therapist now that I've gone.
Right.
So much better. Right. So much better. And sometimes I've just been like, ooh, like, what was I doing before?
Yeah.
But yeah, really important. Really, really important.
So I had to go in grad school, and I just remember I loved it. It was so helpful, but I remember the thing that has always stuck with me, and it's still something that I say to, like, every intake. Because I remember I'm going to be a therapist. I obviously value counseling. And I remember sitting in the waiting room and just being so nervous the first time. And that feeling, I remember it in my body, and just like how much courage that experience has shaped the understanding of how much courage it takes for our clients to come into therapy.
100.
But like feeling that for myself of like, no, this is scary. Like, like, I don't know this person.
For sure.
And I'm about to share intimate things with them.
Yeah.
And so I always, like, it's even on my website, like, I value the courage it takes to enter therapy. Like, because I know that is no small thing. So I'm so thankful my grad program, if nothing else, gave me the opportunity to experience that, like, felt sense of what it feels like to start a therapeutic relationship is so huge. So I'm glad that your program, or you did it before grad school too. It should be, like you said, strongly suggested. Because it's definitely, when you're in when you're in the client seat, it's a different experience. It makes me a better therapist. It just really does make me a better therapist.
For sure.
So much. Yeah.
I don't think I got halfway through my first session. I was done. Like, I was a ball of tears. I couldn't even see the lady. I had so much tears in my eyes. So many tears in my eyes. Yeah.
Do you have something that you've learned from therapy that, like, one thing that you'd share that still sticks with you today that you still practical and applicable for you today?
Yeah, I guess I would say two things. First, if you haven't tried EMDR, try it. Do your best to be consistent with it and try it and take the tools. But then the like practical tip or tool, I remember one session I had with my therapist. I was talking about family issues, family dynamics. And one homework assignment she gave me was, she said, make a list of all the things you feel like you didn't get, all the things that you went through. And I think she said, put them in 3 columns, the things that you didn't get, what happened, and then how you were okay anyway. And then I had quite a list. And by the end of that exercise, it really helped me keep things in perspective. Like, it helped me sort of appreciate parts of myself. It helped me sort of keep in perspective the context in which these things have happened. And so that's a nugget that I've gotten from therapy, that I still have my journal that I wrote it in, that really still helps me.
Was that your EMDR therapist?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What's your plot like? Why do you suggest EMDR specifically? One reason.
I was going to say, because it helps regulate the physical aspect of the anxiety and the trauma. Again, at least that's for me. My hope is to go through the training one day and to have my team go through the training one day. But going back to what I mentioned earlier about slowing down and sort of coming into the space of my body, that is really why I would recommend it.
Just really important. I mean, you mentioned like that hope for love and joy for Black people. That part, right? I think many of us miss that like how we connect to our body can help us with that access to both, regardless, again, of what's going on in the world, regardless of circumstances and stuff that we can't control, our body, and having a sense of feeling safe in our bodies, connected to our bodies, having the resources we need to take care of our bodies, to regulate it like that is a source, I believe, for us to have access to that. When you shared your gym, that activity, like it sounded like something, it's not an EMDR activity I've ever done, but it sounds like it's clearly one, because it was helping you to like not get stuck or to get unstuck on the things that had happened, being able to name how you're okay anyway. That's rooted in the truth. EMDR helps us to work with both lies, things that we've internalized that aren't true, because the stuff that we've been through versus like having access to what the truth really is and being able to discern. So good gem.
That is a great gem.
Thank you.
Man, this has been so good. Yeah, I've loved getting to hear more and just how much you've shared with us, and it's been really sweet. I appreciate ones a lot in my life. I've got some really good close folks that are ones, and so I love being with them and hearing their thoughts, and thankful for the ways that they try and make things better. And just that beautiful like hope is like, because I want this to be good. I want this to be joyful and hopeful and effective, and that's my desire. Yeah, and we have an arrow connection. So I always love when my 1 people can lean into their 7-ness. It's like my favorite thing when I see that happen. Because that's where ones go in growth. And in stress, I go over to your side. And so that's not as much of a fun transition.
I get it.
Because usually my language actually really does change. I can be very critical to myself. I can be very critical to others. And I can get just really the critic can really get loud for me when I'm stressed. Yeah, but it's easy. It's easy for me to, not easy. That's not right. I can feel it. And sometimes it's good. Like, I love when I can get like, let's go. Like, I love that energy of that. So yeah.
Yeah. There is a clear difference. I can understand what you're saying is, and you knowing when you're in a good space. But Camille, I don't know if anybody's ever told you this, but like, you exude joy. So I guess for me, when you mentioned earlier at the beginning, in terms of your season of sadness, I can only imagine what it was like for you to allow yourself to do that. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Yeah. I've told people that, like I said, I can do it, but that's when you said exude, and we've been talking about our bodies. For me, it just, like, to put on a coat of sadness or for sadness to be on me, it just does not feel somatically like myself. It just, myself is bubbly and, like you said, like bright and moving fast, and sadness moves slow, and sadness is quiet, and and those aren't bad things. Those are just the way sadness shows up. And so it doesn't somatically feel like me. But so thank you. But yeah, when the one space, it can get pretty critical, which is, again, sometimes helpful. Sometimes.
It had its place. Even though I hadn't embraced it at the time when we went to that training early on, I remember them talking about the importance of not being critical of any type individually, or not condemning any type per se. So have to keep remembering that.
Yes, because it all is both and.
Yeah. You got Ava saying that, right?
She's
me.
Yes,
both.
Kim. So I'll ask her, well, what's your favorite this? What's your favorite that? No, Mom, both.
With the F.
Both.
So I have to, that's my little reminder. It can be both and.
Yeah. That's a good reminder.
As your friends, it's cool to witness both. It's really cool to see Montina, like, when you are not putting pressure on yourself, and you're just like silly and just playing and just having fun and just joyful. It's very, very just heartwarming. And Camille, when you're like stressed or going through and you're leaning, like, that one comes out, like, I know it's hard for you, but it's continued to be just like a proud experience as your friend to watch you allow yourself and to feel the things, and to not feel like there's not space, or that you can't, even though it's really hard. Being a heart type, like, that sadness, like, I can get sad, I can get sad. I don't like it when it gets in the way of me trying to get stuff done, which is what my work has had to look like over recent years, especially. But I do, like, you were talking about that distinction, feeling it in your body. Like, I get that. I know what it feels like somatically for me. And it's one, I'm more comfortable with it for wean. Like, I can feel deep. It's important, like we said, both and, just to make room for our full selves and all our parts.
And all your anger and your all the things. So thank you for all of the ways that you showed up in all of your parts today. How can people find you? How can people stay connected to you? What do you have going on? So that people can hear the great things you're doing and stay connected.
Yes. So you can find me on all the social platforms at MyersGallowayCounseling.com. Not .com on the social platform, Myers Galloway Counseling, but also our website is MyersGallowayCounseling.com. And I am very excited, but also very nervous. We are having our first retreat. So like you all mentioned in the bio, our specialty at Myers Galloway Counseling is Parentification. And so we are having our very first retreat on October 17th. But maybe by the time you all hear this, it would have passed. But the plan is to do it again next year. The retreat is essentially for Black women who are healing from parentification. And so for those of you who are listening, if you do not know what parentification is, it is essentially when you have grown up being a caretaker for your parents from as early of an age as 6 years old, as if you can believe that. So we've had some clients with that experience. The day is going to be full of workshops, some meditation, some deep breathing, some body work. And we are so excited about this day. I am looking forward just to nurturing a community.
That's awesome. And so folks can stay in touch to find out when the next one is and just more about the continued work you're doing around this area.
For sure. Follow us on LinkedIn. We got our LinkedIn, Instagram. They told me I need to get on TikTok, so that's where we are. So yeah.
Oh, this is good.
The conference too. The retreat. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, friend. We did it.
We did it.
I was thinking the same thing. I did it.
Yes, you did it. And thankfully you did, because it was such a gift, and
Beautiful.
I'm sure so many people are going to have really loved this episode. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
All right. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. We'll see y'all in the next episode.
See you on the next episode.